Happy Monday, everybody. We are going live for week 3 of the summer inventory challenge. So, if you are just tuning in for the first time, we are going to be inventorying our entire food storage and emergency preparedness over the next 8 weeks, all in bite sized pieces, a little bit each week. So, it's a big project I'm doing myself, and everybody's following along. So if you want to kind of start from the beginning, see where we've been the previous weeks, there is a link to sign up for the challenge, and then you can see all the old weeks as well from there. They're all on the blog. So to recap, week 1, we did our disaster kits, evacuation plans, emergency binders, all of that stuff. So we went through, we figured out what we really wanted to have for everything, what we already have, and what we still need to get. So the whole point of this is not necessarily to have everything fixed and perfect. It's to figure out where our holes are and to really see our entire inventory. Week 2 was shelves and water storage. So how is your space organized? What shelving do you need to get to have a place for all of your food, all your supplies? And then water storage, what containers are you going to want to use and actually fill them up, because so many of us have containers around the house that are not full. So that's kind of where we were. I have been on vacation off and on in between those 2 weeks. So this week I'm going to play a little bit of catch up. I've done about half and half of being able to finish everything. I haven't done it all the way as much as I want to. So still a work in progress for me. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or like you're behind, this is a great week to catch up too, because this is really a planning week. It's actually one of my favorite parts. So if you follow my blog, Food Storage Made Easy, we have baby steps. So 10 baby steps to building your food storage. And baby steps 3 and 4 are basically all about planning. And so that's what we're going to talk about this week. Today is the introduction. So there are basically 3 schools of thought for how you want to plan your food storage. You can just buy lots of extras of everything and keep them on hand. You can follow a calculator. So someone will say you need this much food for this many people for this period of time, and that's what you buy. You can follow along with that. And then the third school of thought is to do it recipe-based. So you figure out recipes, multiply them by however many days, and multiply all of that food, and that is what you will store. In my food storage life, I have done each of these different things, and where I'm finding myself falling now is sort of a combination of all of them. So in baby step 3, we really talk about a 3-month supply, and that's a fabulous place for a beginner to start because it's foods you're used to cooking with. I have a 3-month supply calculator on the blog, and I'll link to this in the email that's going to go out tomorrow. So you will have all the links to everything I'm talking about. Don't worry. But it's recipe based. So basically, when I first did this 12 years ago, I picked 10 recipes that I knew I could make all shelf stable. So didn't need electricity, didn't need fresh meat or fresh fruit or anything like that. So like spaghettis and soups and things like that. Populated them into the calculator, and then it spit out. So I did 10 meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it multiplies it by 3 or by 9 for you so that you get a 90 days supply. And you can do 10, 20, 30, however many recipes you can come up with. So you can be as crazy as you want with that, and it'll multiply it to be the 90 days. And then you can just kind of coupon shop and just buy whatever you need. And that's a great way to start, and it gives you regular food, not a lot of variety necessarily, unless you get into more of like canning meats or buying freeze-dried meats and things to add a little more bulk to and variety to your meals. So I started very basic with meals that didn't even really need meats, and then I kind of bought some canned meats. It was something I was not familiar with at all, to branch out a little bit. So that's kind of like your baby step 3, your 3-month supply. It's foods your family's used to eating, recipes that they're used to eating. And that's a good way to start to have some food. Um, and then once I had that tackled, and I actually used my 3-month supply really early on in my food storage journey when my previous husband lost his job, and we ended up living off of that food, and it saved us. Like our grocery budget at the time was $200 a month, and that was $200 that I didn't have to spend, and so our savings lasted just a couple weeks longer than it would have had I been having to buy food. And he actually found a job right at the end of running out of our savings. And so it was a super testimony builder for me of the importance of food storage for that reason. I was always thinking earthquakes or the end of the world or, the big zombie apocalypse. But it can be just as much as losing a job or when I became a single mom, I really lived off of my food storage a lot just to fill in the cracks. So 3-month supply is a great way to start. Then as I felt like I had that down, I moved into the more long-term storage because your 3-month supply is kind of tricky to rotate. So I had it all downstairs and then I'd realize, oh my gosh, it's been a year and I haven't really touched this food. And now all of a sudden it's expiring. So I bring it all upstairs and then I'd have to rebuy all of it again. And it was a little bit chaotic for me. So then I started to move more towards the long-term calculator. So the wheat, the beans, the rice, all the stuff that can stay in your basement forever. You don't have to touch it, but you can rotate it. You should rotate it so that you're used to using it. And I really built up a good supply. I had some really good years where I was just accumulating, learning how to use it, and it was great. But then, as you start to feel like you have it all, you start to think, well, what would I really cook in an emergency? How will I really use all of this? And I got this book a long, long time ago that I love it. You can find it on Amazon. I think it's not in print anymore, so it's like $100, but you can buy it used. But it had a cool concept that was basically like, what can you do with what you have? So it says, if you have these ingredients, these are the foods you can make. And I did a little post on the blog, and I'll link to that too in the email. I kind of expanded on this based on like what was in my food storage. And it's really interesting to think about. So if you're only storing like wheat, oil, salt, and water, you can make tortillas. You can make very basic, you could sprout wheat, have wheatgrass, excuse me, some very basic stuff. But if you just add a few things like powdered milk and powdered eggs, all of a sudden you can make crepes. And then if you add baking powder and baking soda and yeast, then you can make bread and you can make waffles. And so it made me start to think in my mind, what do I need to supplement with these staples to have food I can actually make? And along the way, I started to learn more about freeze-dried foods and realized there are jar meals, and that's such a normal and easy way to cook, especially if power is a concern. You can just have a butane stove, have a jar meal, just add water, cook it on your butane stove. So easy compared to grinding wheat with a hand wheat grinder, and then you have to bake bread for 40 minutes in a sun oven or whatever you have, to cook. So there are so many considerations with all of that. And so I came to realize with my long-term storage that I want to have more of a recipe-based focus. And so this is where I'm falling this week is I want to merge those two concepts for myself. And kind of my idea is to figure out like, okay, a batch of bread or half a batch of bread probably every day. How much wheat is that? And then what are you going to do for dinner? Probably a jar meal. And then breakfast can be sort of a combination of your oats and maybe making some waffles and things like that. And then in terms of just getting extras, like I don't feel like I need to really meal plan for the foods we regularly eat, like pastas and sauces. Like I just need to have a few of those in the basement. But really, if an emergency happened and I had to live off my food storage, my long-term food is regular foods now. So they start to merge. In the beginning, my 3-month supply was very, very different from my long-term. But now that we're so used to eating these foods, they very much merged into one. And so it would not be crazy for my family to just shift to eating out of our food storage because it's so much of what we regularly eat. So I do want to have some extras because, like, we got home from vacation, it was late Saturday night, I didn't go to the store, and guess what? We had stuff on hand to eat breakfast. I had stuff to make a spaghetti dinner. I even had breadsticks in the freezer, and I had freeze-dried sausage to throw in my sauce. I had pasta on hand. I had sauce on hand. And that wasn't part of my weekly groceries. It's just, I just had extras in the basement. So I do, and same thing with condiments. I always, if I'm about to run out of something, I make sure I buy 2 of them the next time I'm at the store, and then they're in the basement. And so when I run out, I just pull one upstairs. So that's kind of my routine as I've gotten into my new house now. When we were in transition, I didn't have enough space to do that. So that's my game plan. So how do we go about doing this? I have so many ways I do recipes. So I have my family recipes in a binder. This is separated by meat or vegetarian, and then I've got sides, salads, desserts in this binder. And then I have, this is a recipe binder that all these recipes are from Thrive monthly specials. So they're packs that we put together using those. They use a lot of freeze-dried food, which is awesome for storage because it has such a long shelf life. So all of these, if you're one of my Thrive customers, you can get into this little club. We're not really doing new ones anymore, but all the old ones are in there for free. Or if you just want to buy the recipes, we have a book that we put together on Amazon with all of those in it. So you can see each one has a picture, it has the ingredients and directions, and they're separated by themes. So it's super fun. You can get it in color or in black and white if you want a little cheaper version. And then this is my big project. I have this binder that's supposed to be my food storage recipes binder, and it's empty because I have just papers and books and printed recipes and saved recipes, and I wanted them all to end up in here. So this is part of my project this week. And it will be ongoing. It doesn't have to be done this week. That is the rule of this challenge, is you just have to make a plan, you have to start, and you have to figure out what you have and what you need. So I want to take all my food storage recipes that I have so many books. There's so many good recipes in here, and I have so many books. And these ones are really a lot of the staples. So a lot of recipes using your wheat, using your beans, using barley, kind of those things that are in a calculator that you have in your basement, and you're like, what am I even going to cook with this? Well, if all you need to store is a few extra ingredients, and then you can make so many things, isn't that awesome? And also, okay, so I'm going to be working on compiling all the recipes and then figuring out, so I think I'm going to use my 3-month supply calculator and try to do a 1-month game plan for recipes. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 1 month might be a little over ambitious, maybe 2 weeks. And then just multiply that out, but instead of for 90 days, do it for a full year. And then I can really get a grasp of how much of all of this food I need, because for the most of the next few weeks of the challenge, we're going to be inventorying all of our food. So our grains, our legumes, our meats, our vegetables, our fruits. So if you don't even know your plan at all and what recipes you're going to use, you're not going to be able to inventory, because I can tell you, hey, have 300 pounds of wheat per person, but I don't want to just give you that number. I want you to go through and say, well, what am I going to make with those 300 pounds of wheat? So that is your assignment this week, is to figure out what you are going to make with your food. And our prizes for this week, since this is all about planning, our Food Storage Made Easy book has the calculators in it. So you can actually write it in it, or you can download them. So you'll see this is the 3-month plan right here. So you can write out your recipes, and then you multiply it, and I'll give you your shopping list. And then the long-term storage calculator is, it's in here too. Sorry, there you go. Here's your long-term calculator. So I do give recommendations. These are based on a lot of stuff put out by the LDS Church a long time ago. They don't necessarily recommend a set amount anymore. They kind of just say longer-term storage. 1 year is still great, I think, because it's just a good number to shoot for. And if you think about like the pandemic this year, like if you couldn't go to the store 1 year, like you were okay if you had 1 year worth of stuff. So you never know how long something's gonna last, but a year's a pretty safe bet. So, and then I also have a revised calculator that I'll link to that includes, it takes away a little bit of the wheat grains and stuff and adds freeze-dried meats, fruits, and vegetables, because I think those are super important for nutrients and to just kind of have more regular food and to be able to make those darn meals. So our prizes, sorry, I got distracted. I'm going to give away a copy, a hard copy, because you can get this digital or hard copy of the Food Storage Made Easy books. So this has all of our checklists, so it'll help you walk through building your food storage if you're brand new. And then it has an encyclopedia, just information all about food storage, and then a recipe appendix in the back with lots of good food storage recipes. I'm going to give a copy of that, and I'm also going to give a copy of the Meals in Minutes. So this is mainly Thrive freeze-dried food, or if you get another brand, you can use that too. It doesn't have to be Thrive, but these are based off of Thrive's monthly specials. So that's the black and white version. I'll give away a color version because I like the themed colors. They're cute. And there's some fun pictures of us and our families. Me and my Thrive friends made it. So these will give you some good ideas for recipes if you are putting together your long-term plan. So remember, you're not figuring out exactly what you need yet. That will be more next week. So figure out your recipes. Maybe inventory your recipe books, like your food storage books. I have a whole like shelf. I'll have to show you my shelves. I gotta show you the cool library. We got big shelves. A ladder. So I got those whole shelves full of food storage books. So I'm gonna flip through all of those, find ones that I think my family will like, and I'm gonna put them on a list to start trying them too. Like this is a long-term project, but we have our whole lives, right? So I'm going to be flagging those recipes, kind of putting together my calculator. So sort of a year recipe-based plan using my 3-month calculator. So the email that's going to go out, make sure you are signed up for my newsletter, because all the challenge emails are coming out. That will come out sometime tomorrow, probably in the evening, because I got to compile everything after I get this video uploaded. So there'll be links to everything. Janet, the Meals in Minutes. It is on Amazon. That's probably the easiest, quickest way to get it. So I will put a link to that in the email. I'll try to put it in the notes too. But it is, I think $15 for the black and white and $25 for the color. It's just basically, they print it and send it out for us. So we don't have to order a whole bunch of them and ship them. So that is the plan for this week. It could be a huge project, or if you already have this all in your mind, like then it's kind of a free week for you, because next week, like I said, we're going to actually get in our storages and count how much we have of everything and fill out our spreadsheets. Like you can customize your spreadsheet to whatever you want to have, whatever you want to store. So you're going to have to figure out what you need and what you already have and what you're still needing to get. Gluten-free options, that is a good point. So I do have some resources for gluten-free, and a lot of stuff, especially if you have your own wheat grinder, like I did crepes with rice flour, and they were good. My kids actually liked them better. So a lot of times you can just substitute with different flours for the same recipes, but again, it's something I would do where you're trying them and making sure that it's actually an okay substitution. Also, Thrive makes a really good gluten-free flour that's just like an all-purpose flour that I've substituted in tons of recipes, and most things turn out great. The only thing I haven't really had success with was like a yeast bread. But you can do like muffins, cakes, anything like that with the gluten-free all-purpose flour. And then, like I said, if you have your own wheat grinder, which I can give you guys links to that too, I use it a lot. I am gluten-free also, so. But the rest of my family is not. So I store and plan for them, doing kind of a more bread-based, probably like lunch will be bread-based every day in an emergency, just because it's so easy to store the wheat and it's so cheap. But I will have to come up with an alternative for myself. So I'm guessing I'll probably be making some kind of gluten-free muffins. So, any other questions, leave in the comments. So like I said, our giveaway will be one Meals and Minutes book, one Food Storage Made Easy book, and watch your email tomorrow to see if you're a winner from last week. If you did not post anything about your water or your shelves, it's not too late. I haven't picked the winners yet. So you can win one of our water bricks that I showed you last week, or you can win a Thrive Consolidator, one of the little plastic rotating shelves. So go on to one of those previous posts or just start a new thread in here and share whatever you were doing with your water storage or with your shelving. We'd love to see it. We'd love to see how everyone's doing. And also, when you guys figure out what your plan is, share, because I actually am hoping to get some new ideas from everybody, because it's hard, it's complicated, and you can just follow along. Like I said, the 3-month plan, the long-term calculator, but when it really comes down to it, that may not be what's the best solution for you and your family for rotation and for an actual usage in an emergency situation. So it is definitely a thought exercise this week. And make notes, work on your recipe binders, go through your recipe books, flag potential recipes that you want to make for your family, see what they like, and then make a plan going forward. So it could be an easy week. It also could be a very challenging week, depending how detailed you want to get. And so, like I said, if you feel like you have a good grasp on your plan already, then you can use this as a catch-up week for anything from previous weeks, or just follow along and see what the rest of us are doing. So I hope you guys have a good night. Watch your email tomorrow evening for, sorry, for all the details, all the links. I'll throw a few links in here so you're not waiting too long. And make sure you sign up for the newsletter to get those emails. And I will change the, I think the sign up email, I'll add all the past ones in it. But if you just go to blog, foodstoragemade-easy.net/blog, you should see them all there. They're all posted there. All right, any questions, leave them in comments. And I will check in with you guys throughout the week, especially on Instagram. I'm going to be in stories more this week because I'm home all week. No more vacation. I'm done vacationing. So yes, check in there. Check your email. See you next Monday live on Facebook. Peace.